Ever feel like certain people are draining your energy, bringing negativity wherever they go? We all know someone who fits this mold: a toxic friend, a difficult coworker, maybe even a family member. But what if you could handle them with calm, confidence, and resilience? In this video, discover 11 powerful ways, inspired by the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, to manage these difficult relationships. With Stoic strategies, you'll learn to stay unshaken, protect your peace, and transform your reactions, no matter who or what you're up against. Let's dive in. 1. Accept what you can't control. Think about that coworker who always criticizes your work, no matter how much effort you put in or how well you've done. You double-check every detail, but they still find something wrong. You might feel frustrated, wanting them to change or at least appreciate your efforts. Marcus Aurelius reminds us you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Their criticism is something you can't control, and trying to change them often leads to even more stress. Instead, shift your focus to controlling your own reaction. Accepting that you can't control their behavior frees up your mental energy for things that truly matter. Imagine carrying this principle over to other areas of life. What if a friend or family member always brings up your failures in casual conversations? Stoicism would remind us to detach from their opinions. By accepting that they won't change, you're allowing yourself to respond with calm. 2. Master the art of detachment. Picture this: a friend who seems to delight in bringing up your past mistakes, often at the worst times. Every time you try to express yourself, they manage to throw something from years ago back in your face. When we take things personally, comments like these can sting, leaving us angry or even questioning ourselves. However, Stoicism teaches us to approach things objectively, almost as if we're viewing them from a distance. Imagine those hurtful remarks as mere background noise, words that have no power to harm unless you let them. This approach to detachment helps you maintain emotional stability by separating yourself from the actions and opinions of others. Marcus Aurelius called this looking at things objectively when faced with criticism or negativity. Practice observing it without emotional attachment. Visualize their words as leaves floating down a stream, passing by without affecting you. Over time, this practice of detachment builds emotional resilience, helping you handle toxic remarks with grace rather than being drawn into needless arguments or feeling personally attacked. 3. Strengthen your inner peace. Let's say you have a family member who always seems to be in a bad mood, criticizing everything you do, from your career choice to how you spend your weekends. Their negativity affects you, making you feel as though you're never good enough. But Stoicism teaches that real peace isn't about avoiding conflict, it's about building inner calm that can withstand any storm. Marcus Aurelius knew that inner peace came from discipline and reflection, from knowing oneself deeply and cultivating resilience through daily practice. Consider starting a routine that strengthens your inner peace each morning. Meditate, practice gratitude, or take 5 minutes to breathe deeply before the day begins. By grounding yourself, you're creating a fortress within a space of calm that toxic people can't enter. Each time you reinforce this peace, you become more resilient to outside negativity. Whether through journaling, quiet walks, or simply a few moments of reflection, find ways to cultivate that inner sanctuary. When you build this habit, you'll notice that other people's words and actions affect you less, empowering you to remain unshaken. 4. Don't take it personally. We all have that one relative who makes passive-aggressive comments every time they see us. Perhaps they remark on your career, your relationship, or your personal choices. It's easy to feel like their comments are aimed directly at you, but Stoicism reminds us that most people's actions reflect their own issues, not ours. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It's not what they do to you, but how you react that matters." In other words, their behavior often says more about them than about you. Imagine their words as reflections of their own struggles, projections of their fears or frustrations. Their opinions are like smoke. They may look dark and intense, but they're ultimately empty, with no real weight, unless you give it to them. When we remember this, it becomes easier to see their behavior as a reflection of their inner world rather than a judgment on us. It's not about ignoring them, but about choosing not to internalize their negativity. This subtle shift can change how you approach toxic situations, giving you more control over your emotions and helping you stand firm in your self-worth. 5. Set boundaries firmly. Think of a friend who constantly reaches out at inconvenient times, expecting you to drop everything to listen to their complaints. Perhaps they're unaware of the impact their actions have on your life. Stoicism reminds us that setting boundaries isn't about pushing people away, but about respecting our own space. Marcus emphasized the importance of maintaining personal integrity, and boundaries are a part of that integrity. Politely, yet firmly, set limits with this friend. You might say, "I'm happy to help, but I also need time for my own things. I'm here for you, but there are times when I have to prioritize my responsibilities." By doing this, you're honoring yourself while also showing respect to the other person. Boundaries create a healthy distance that shields you from being drained by constant demands, allowing you to decide when and how you interact. This way, you maintain control over your life and energy, which is essential for lasting peace. 6. Practice compassion, even when it's hard. A toxic person's behavior may stem from their own struggles, insecurity, or past pain. Think of a boss who is always on edge, snapping at employees without reason. It's tempting to dislike them, to think they're being unreasonable. But Marcus Aurelius taught us to practice empathy. He advised, whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize. When we see others through a lens of compassion, their actions often become less hurtful. Imagine that boss might be going through a difficult time, perhaps dealing with stress that you're not aware of. Compassion doesn't mean excusing bad behavior, but it helps you respond with understanding rather than anger. Instead of responding with frustration, try empathy. Think of their outburst as a symptom of a deeper issue. This approach helps protect your peace and reminds you not to let their behavior control your emotions. Responding with compassion can disarm negativity, often creating a more peaceful atmosphere. 7. Embrace silence over arguments. Let's say a colleague is always contradicting you, finding fault in every suggestion you make. They seem to thrive on disagreement, as if they're trying to provoke you into a reaction. Marcus Aurelius understood the power of silence, a choice that often speaks louder than words. Silence is a form of self-control, a conscious decision to rise above unnecessary conflict. Instead of engaging, simply remain calm. Smile, nod, and let the conversation end without further response. This doesn't mean you're giving in, it means you're saving your energy and refusing to be dragged into negativity. Toxic people often rely on reactions to fuel their behavior. By choosing not to respond, you deny them the satisfaction of seeing you react. Silence can be a powerful shield that allows you to stay grounded while subtly letting them know their behavior doesn't affect you. 8. Focus on your own development. Sometimes toxic people create so much drama that it becomes easy to get wrapped up in their lives and issues, losing sight of our own goals. Maybe you have a friend who constantly pulls you into their problems, filling your time with their worries, complaints, and distractions. Stoicism teaches us to focus on our own path, on self-improvement and growth. Set aside time for yourself, intentionally investing in activities that align with your goals. This could be learning a new skill, starting a fitness routine, or spending time with uplifting people who support your growth. The more you focus on your own progress, the less power other people's drama has over you. By redirecting your energy to your own development, you're not ignoring their struggles, you're simply prioritizing your own peace. This way, you're not abandoning them, but instead choosing a balanced approach that helps you grow stronger and more resilient. 9. Respond, don't react. Imagine a friend who always seems to make subtle jabs, like a backhanded compliment. They might say things like, "I wish I had the time to be as carefree as you," or "Not everyone can afford to be as laid back." Their words are designed to provoke a reaction. Marcus Aurelius emphasized that the space between impulse and response is where our power lies. Instead of reacting immediately, pause. Take a deep breath and decide how you want to respond. This pause allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than with a heated reaction. Perhaps you choose to reply with humor, to deflect with a smile, or even to call out their comment directly but calmly. Each time you choose to respond rather than react, you reinforce your inner strength and demonstrate that you won't be swayed by negativity. This Stoic practice reminds us that we're not at the mercy of other people's words. We can choose our response, keeping our peace and showing true strength. 10. Remind yourself of impermanence. Sometimes when we're dealing with someone toxic, it feels like they'll be in our lives forever. Perhaps it's a challenging boss, a partner who's often hurtful, or a family member with constant complaints. Marcus Aurelius meditated on the temporary nature of all things, including difficult situations. Toxic people and their behaviors are just another temporary moment in your life. Visualize their negativity as a passing storm, a temporary setback that won't last forever. Each time you remind yourself of this, you take away some of the power their behavior has over you. This perspective shift can create inner peace, helping you see that the negativity you're experiencing is just a small chapter in the larger book of your life. With this understanding, it becomes easier to let go of their influence and stay focused on what truly matters. 11. Reflect on your own values. Sometimes, toxic people can push you to act out of character. Perhaps you find yourself snapping back, raising your voice, or feeling tempted to retaliate. But Marcus Aurelius taught that true strength lies in aligning our actions with our values. Think of each encounter with a toxic person as an opportunity to reinforce who you want to be. Ask yourself, what values do I hold that I want to express in this situation? Choose to act with kindness, patience, or honesty, values that reflect your true self, rather than reacting based on others' negativity. Letting toxic encounters remind you of your values turns each challenge into an opportunity for personal growth. This way you stay true to yourself and show that you won't let others pull you away from your core principles.